Alright guys, I do want to go ahead and thank you for supporting the channel. I saw that I started a Patreon. I already saw someone had already signed up as a Patreon. So that, guys, will be a really awesome way if you guys want to support the channel. It's like a monthly thing. You can pick how much money you want to donate. I don't even really know yet, to be honest with you, but I saw someone had already started it, but that right there will obviously be dumped directly back into the channel. So we do appreciate that. And we also have the website down below, dirtydiamonddiesel.com. Pick up stickers, key tags, whatever you guys want, air dog lift pumps, exotic head studs. We got tons of stuff on there. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are in the garage today, working on a 2006 Chevrolet Malibu. This has the 3500, I think, V6 in it, something like that. Wheels pulled off of this thing while we had it on the ground. Pulled the battery out, intake, battery box, starter. Did that while it was up in the air. And then we just knocked the converter bolts loose. So pulled the starter off and was able to get the converter bolts loose. You can see converter's loose, but we're just getting started on this thing, guys. It's quite a job to do a trans on one of these. So I don't really know if I'm going to try and just drop the whole engine and everything, set it right there on the ground and switch the trans out, because the engine, there's a subframe under here. Obviously all this right here, all this unbolts from the car. And that is what holds the engine and the transmission in the car. So the donor trans over here, he was able to get this out he lifted the whole motor and trans out of the car through the top, but he had to cut a bunch of stuff on the car because it was already wrecked, so he didn't care. Obviously we can't do that on this one. We have a new converter to go with it too, or a new used one. This car was just hitting the front, so he wants to just swap this trans in there. But basically I'm slowly getting some stuff pulled off of it, and then I'm going to decide how I'm going to do it, because as you can see, guys, there's no way with this subframe right here, there's no way you're going to be able to fish this transmission out of here. So if I can find a way to leave the engine supported in the air with having the subframe gone, then, you know, that's not a big deal. Then we could easily get the trans out if the subframe's not there. But if we can't, we may just set the whole thing down on the ground, lift the car up off of it, and then go back down once we swap the trans out. So hope that makes sense to you guys, but that is where we are getting started on this beautiful Thursday morning. It's about, I don't know, probably 50 degrees out right now. We're getting started this morning. We also have another 7.3 liter Power Stroke dropped off today. And this puppy we have worked on in the past. I put glow plugs in that truck a couple years ago for the guy, and he is just racking miles on it. It is getting up there in miles, and it doesn't really sound the best, to be honest with you guys. It sounds like it has a pretty bad miss. It's got a lot of blow-by, but those always have blow-by. Generally, 7.3s do, but that one's like in the 400,000, so I don't know. We're gonna see what we can figure out on that thing, but without further ado, let's get started on this girl. All right, guys, about an hour and a half in, I wanna give you guys an update of where we're at on this thing. So I had to pull both CV axles. I didn't have a socket big enough to fit that, so I had to pull the whole hub assembly off with the CV axle. Not a big deal, but I definitely need to start upgrading my tools a little bit, spend some more money on some tools. To pull obviously all the brakes and stuff, and I started already pulling. These are the bolts that hold the steering rack to the subframe assembly, and I do have a tool on the way. I figured out I'm gonna have to use a tool to support the engine. That way I can lift it up in the air with the subframe out. So guys, this is the subframe, is this whole guy right here. It goes all the way around, and this all unbolts from the car. As you can see right there, it all unbolts. So the steering rack, as you guys can see here, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's loose. I got this guy loose. That's what those big long bolts were. That's loose. Obviously CV axles are removed. I went ahead, I'm just trying to get everything that I can done to where when I have the engine stand, all I have to do is just basically support it, and I can drop the subframe. I've run a 2x4 across it and use my trans jack to lower this thing down. I believe, you can see right here, it's up in this channel. I believe the back needs to come down, and then it slides out of this channel here. This is what I'm hoping anyways. Pretty sure that's how this whole deal will go. Is that will slide out that way. I'm just trying to get everything unhooked, converter bolts are unhooked. So yeah, definitely quite a job to take. It's not no diesel truck, that's for sure. But you guys can see up in there, this guy's, she's loose. I think I can leave the control arms and everything. I think really the only bolts I have left are these bolts, boom, boom. And then there's one under here, and I think the subframe will drop, but obviously it's supporting the engine right now, so gotta get that engine supported, and then we can drop this guy out. All right guys, got this car up in the air, and I'm to a stopping point now with it as far as I need to get the engine supported so I can drop the subframe. A gentleman is actually bringing me a tool right now. I'm gonna buy off of him, so I have one. It would be nice to have one of these tools. We can use them for Cummins oil pans as well, so they will make life a lot easier. So I am gonna go ahead and buy it off of him, the tool, and we'll be able to get the subframe dropped, move on that. But why I'm in some downtime, I pulled the 7.3 up in here for the second time today, and the thing has high miles, guys. It makes blow by, it doesn't run the best, but his main concern is a massive oil leak. And you guys can see down in there, that valley's full, and right underneath the turbo, ooh, I gotta be careful on my camera. Right below the turbocharger, there's a big puddle of oil. What's pretty common on these to leak is the turbocharger pedestal seals. I'm guessing that's probably where our leak is coming from, but I wanna verify first. So I have my shop back up here, and we're gonna suck all of that oil out from around the turbocharger, suck all the oil out of the valley, get it as clean as we can, try to flush and brake clean through there if we can, some compressed air, get it good and dry. Then we're gonna start the engine and see where the oil puddles from. There's a lot of oil lines up in here, and the turbocharger seals are common as well. So the pedestal seals, that is, where that turbo actually bolts down to the engine, it gets its feed in return for the oil supply. So we wanna see what's going on here. We wanna get this thing to where it's not leaking so much oil on them. And like I said, guys, it does have some blow by. It doesn't really run the best, so we're gonna look into that some more, but our main objective is this oil leak, and we will go from there. Like I said, I have done some work on this thing before in the past, put glow plugs in it. I think I put a power steering pump on it, maybe some other stuff, but that's where we're at for now. All right, guys, we have the subframe pulled out of the car. It's not extremely heavy. I was able to get it down by myself. I ended up forgetting to hook the exhaust like an absolute idiot, so I had to fight that and get those top bolts there while the car was in the air. I had to climb up on top of the car to break these extremely tight, crusty bolts loose, and somehow these didn't break. I don't quite understand how, but none of these broke. They're in bad shape. So now, the only thing left to do is get this trans jack under the trans. There's 3 bolts right here, and then I have 1 belt housing bolt left right there. That guy up in there is the last bell housing bolt, and this trans should come out. So guys, bear with me here. We are going to get this thing swapped out. We have the other one over there on the ground. We're gonna get the new one put in, and hopefully the subframe in tonight. And once I get that done, I'll probably wrap this thing up in the morning. So that's the plan. All right guys, transmission is out. You can see what this big weird thing looks like. Well, obviously you guys have seen the other one on the ground over there, but it's actually pretty balanced on the trans jack. That worked out pretty good. We did already blow the lines out on the car, and there's a ton of room whenever that transmission's not in here. So we'll have to fish the new one up in here, keep all these wires out of the way. I'm just waiting on some help to switch that one out with the other one and get it stuck up into the car. So overall, not bad, not bad. I will say the new one's definitely gonna be a little bit more, oh man, that's sketch. That's so scary. I'm gonna stop touching stuff. But we'll say the new one's probably gonna be a lot easier to fish up in there. So I'm gonna get some help over here to help me get the new one on here, stuck back in here, and maybe try and see if I can get the subframe stuck back in tonight. Ideally, I don't really want this thing to hang all night, and then we will wrap this thing up in the morning. The 7.3, guys, I looked at the leaks on it, and it looks like it may possibly be the turbocharger pedestal seals, but I can't really quite tell. We have quite a pile of oil down there. The drain in the back was all clogged with oil, or with leaves, so once I unclogged it, stuff just started flowing, oil, fuel, mix of both. So we have quite a bit of mess on there. Bailey was able to help me. We stabbed this thing in here in literally like 10 minutes. I was really pumped right now that went that easy. I really thought we were gonna fight this thing, but we just had to kind of man muscle that engine around while it's hanging by the chain up there. And I got some bolts started in the subframe, so the engine and trans is all bolted together. Not all the bell housing bolts, but is at least safe where I can lower it down. And I'm gonna close out at the end of the day today. We'll get started back on this thing in the morning. All right guys, car is back on the ground and running. I don't have the hood on yet, but I am gonna go ahead and take this thing on a quick little spin just to see if it has all the gears. I've cycled it through on the ground, and it does, and checked the fluid, topped it off, and yeah, we're just gonna go drive this thing and see how it goes. So Here we go. All right guys, I'm setting the car back down on the ground again. I just lifted it up again. I wanted to just double check the fluid in the air, and everything's good. I got the hood put back on and wheels are on. The fuel gauge is messed up. I don't know what he's gonna wanna do about that. Probably needs a sending unit, but the fuel pump still works obviously, but the fuel gauge is all out of whack. But he basically just bought this car really cheap. Bought 2 of them, got the trans put in this thing. So now it runs and drives. Like he's just gonna try and drive back and forth to work. Definitely needs some front end work as well, but we'll see what all he wants to get into on that. So without further ado, we are wrapping this thing up, guys. 06 Malibu going out the door, trans swap. What a job. All right guys, after a massive spill this morning, I was able to get the car out of here, but trying to load that other transmission up made a massive mess, so I had to get all that cleaned up. But without further ado guys, that is gonna wrap up the end of this video. So be sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and also pick yourself up something off of the website. Link is in the description below, dirtydiamonddiesel.com, or you can support the channel by becoming a Patreon. Link is in the description for that as well. So do appreciate it guys. See you on the next one.